Hello, friends, and welcome back to Malicious Compliance Stories. Let's start our video with a story about a morning coffee run that took an unexpected turn. Imagine popping into your favorite coffee shop, where you're a familiar face, and meeting a new barista who's more interested in chatting with friends than serving customers. But before we begin, best way to support our channel is to leave comments, like, and subscribe with the turned-on bell so you don't miss the new video every single day. Here we go. Entitled Barista. So I get coffee in the mornings every day from one of my favorite places near my work. Been doing it for years. I know most of the people there, but obviously they have a high turnover given the current economy and situation. One day I walk in to get my coffee, which is only a 5-minute ordeal. I have a very demanding job, so I have to be at work at 7 a.m. sharp if I even want to get started with the day. So there's a new barista there this morning who's happily chatting up a storm with what appears to be one of her friends who's also getting coffee in front of me. I politely and quietly stay in line for about 15 minutes until she briefly acknowledges me. I don't want to be that guy that yells at people to get going or anything. A little more time passes by and I decide, F this, I'm going to leave. Then I walk out back to my car and head to my work. I can always get coffee later. Before you say I'm a pushover, I can tell you my work requires a lot of confrontation, and I just try to save my energy for situations I feel are actually worth the energy. Going on Karen mode on this girl would probably not be productive, so I just left. The very next day, I walked back in and it's the same barista, but with a very annoyed look on her face when she sees me. I order my coffee and I wait for it in one of the tables. When she calls me back to get my coffee, she all of a sudden goes ballistic on me and tells me, "You know you got me in a lot of trouble yesterday, don't you?" Flabbergasted by her reaction, I could only answer, "What do you mean?" She states, "Well, yesterday when you walked out without even waiting a couple of minutes for me to get to you, my manager saw you and told me I couldn't do that, especially to long-term clients. You almost got me fired, you know." That's absolute bullcrap. How can people be so effing entitled these days? If she'd been doing her job rather than chatting with a friend, she wouldn't have gotten in trouble. Manager was looking out for the business. If people keep leaving because the barista wastes their time, they're likely to stop coming in and buying coffee. And our second story. I'm a fool for buying this tool. A few years ago, I, 24-year-old male at the time, was in the middle of some house renovations when I was short a Carpenter Square. I decided to quickly grab one the next day on my way home from work. As I had many other things to do those days, I was in a bit of a hurry, so I didn't check the square 3 times over before I bought it. Also, I have a habit of not taking receipts or throwing them away because I can't stand loose paper receipts everywhere in the car or at home. This is important for later. I bought the square at a big DIY store in the Netherlands, so I would expect that this tool is at the very least was usable. Maybe not the best quality, but I can live with that. Oh boy, was I wrong. First thing I noticed was the price. The thing was around 40 euros for 2 pieces of aluminum with rivets. Oh, so this was a decent-sized store with only one model Carpenter Square in their whole product range? Crazy, right? Due to limited time and a lot to do, I was not the least bit interested in driving to the next store and picking up a better deal. I bought the square and was on my way home. Next day, when I first picked it up to put it to use, I noticed that the oh-so-important alignment on this tool was way off. The rivets used to hold the nice 90 degrees angle were loose. This resulted in quite a few degrees of play. No way you can make a nice square cut with this piece of crap. The square was probably dropped in the store before putting it on the shelf. This results in the floppy angle. I was not too happy, to say the least, and went back to the store the same day. I explained the situation and showed the cashier from customer service the faulty square. Of course, I never took the receipt, but as it was only yesterday, I bought the tool and even the sticker from the store was still on it. I thought they would help me. Nope, he said, "You've got to have the receipt or else I can't do anything for you." I told him that I bought it yesterday and even the same cashier was working the checkout. Even the sticker with the store's label and price could not convince this man to help me. He did help me to check in their system for the receipt. I even showed him the bank debit on my mobile phone app and the exact time I bought the stuff. Somehow he could not find the receipt in their computer system and just told me he wouldn't help me. A bit taken back, I returned home. I worked retail for about 7 years, and from what I can remember, I tried to help customers where I could. It was obvious that a product was from the store and the customer even has proof of payment on their bank account. It would be no problem whatsoever to return or exchange said item. I had a feeling this cashier was just not giving a single F and acted like this too. Then it clicked. I went back to the store with the broken tool still lying in my car. I bought the exact same model Carpenter Square again, now checking if it was not dropped in a tight square, of course. Went to the cashier and took the receipt while looking the fella from customer service dead in the eyes. I walked back to my car, switched the new tool for the broken one, and went right back in the store. My car was parked maybe 10 meters, for our American readers, about 2 truck lengths, from the front glass doors, so they will definitely have seen me. Walked back into the customer service cashier and told him I wanted to return the item as it's broken. He said, "But this is the same tool from yesterday." I replied, "I don't know that, but I do have a receipt now." He begrudgingly gave me my money back, so in the end I got a decent Carpenter Square, and they'll have to deal with the broken one while knowing I effed them over with their own malicious compliance. And our next story. Woman berates me at 3 a.m. for not doing my job. So I was working at a supermarket doing night fill stocking shelves after hours. One night we ran super late as we were short-staffed. I didn't finish till about 2:30 a.m. After I left, the only place open for food was a 24/7 fuel station across the road that had a Subway. So I said hi to the staff, I was a regular, and got my sub and put in my headphones while I ate. I was just kind of zoning out as I just finished a 9-hour shift, so I was a little slow. A woman came in and went up to the fuel counter. The server was not there. 3 a.m., they have a bunch of other jobs to do out back, and they have a buzzer on the counter, so she's obviously seen me and moves closer. I'm oblivious, listening to my audiobook. I look up when she's towering over me, glaring. She says something. I take my headphones out. Me, sorry? Her, I don't mean to interrupt you. Me, okay. Now she's glaring full force. Her, I need you to do your job. I don't care if you're on break. Me, what? Still foggy. Her, I need you to get off your butt and do your job, she screams. Finally, I get what's going on. I lean back and point to my shirt logo. Me, I don't work here. I'm from the supermarket across the road. Her, don't give me that bullcrap. I'm in a hurry. Now do your job. By now, the server has come back to check on the noise. Server, hey, my name, everything okay? Me, ask her. She does an actual double take. She goes a bit red, but rallies herself and glares at me again. She pays for her stuff and then, in a loud as hell stage whisper, says, "What's he doing here at this time of night?" Suspicious if you ask me. Then she leaves. The server shakes his head and we laugh it off. The best part is a few weeks later, same scenario at the same petrol place. I'm eating, but more alert. She comes in, sees me eating, and goes red. Me, hey server, that crazy woman's back. I then nod at her. Me, can I help you with anything, ma'am? I don't work here, but I know how upset you get with the truth, so maybe I can pretend. Do some role play, if that would help. And our last story. Crazy HOA member is gone for good. About a year ago, I finally decided to get out on my own for good, and true, because living with other people causes me unending stress. But the only way to get into a place quickly was to take a unit on the edge of a not-so-nice district of town. There was also a homeowners association and one chairman about whom this story will mainly be. I figured since there was a police station literally across the road, I'd be safe. Needless to say, I don't live there anymore. At first, everything seemed fine. I got all my stuff moved in, started learning how to cook stuff more complicated than chicken soup. It was all good. Most everyone in my row of units tended to keep to themselves. Apart from my neighbor on one side who was a little noisy, everyone left me alone. Except this one dude. Also an HOA member, he was in the unit on the other side from the noisy people, and he was in retrospect way too enthusiastic to have a single lady moving in next door. He was constantly coming over just to say hi and see how I was settling in, and often had to be physically pushed out the door. He often stank of booze and took advantage of the summer weather and sealed windows. No crap, this place had locked windows and tenants didn't get keys to them to come wandering in when I was working. He drove me nuts, but seemed relatively harmless. The first sign that something was wrong with the guy, being completely unable to get the message to F off and leave me alone, was when the cops came around to try and serve a warrant on him. I don't know exactly what came of that, but he swore blind they'd actually been after the previous tenant and he hadn't come out because he was sleeping. Which in retrospect, I was an effing idiot for believing because I'm a heavy sleeper and they woke me up. Then he asked if he could use my computer to check his email because his was in the shop. I let him because it got him to shut up and let me work faster. I didn't think much of this. Next day, I spoke to the other dude and found out his computer had been confiscated by the police. The neighbor then promptly disappeared for a month, and I had the real estate agents asking me if I had any idea where he'd gone and why he wasn't paying rent. He then promptly reappeared, paid his owing rent, and went around boasting that he'd had so many parking tickets they'd arrested him. I don't know much about the law, but I know you don't get a month in jail for tickets. I still would have let it pass, except I came down with the gastric flu and was very, very, very sick for a week, and every time the neighbor turned up, I had to tell him to go away. This week was also the week a tornado hit upstate, and the heavy winds caused a lot of property damage all over our city, and between the noise and the flu, I didn't get more than about 10 minutes of sleep for the entire week. The neighbor turned up at 11 p.m. one night demanding to let me in, and in my miserable, sick, sleep-deprived state, I told him to F right off. The next day, the seat and tires of my motorcycle were cut to ribbons. Even though the police and I both knew damn well who did it, without any physical evidence or a witness, they couldn't actually do anything. Revenge was now going to be mine. First, I let neighbor use my computer again. He had a habit of not signing out of his email, so instead of doing what I usually did and signing out for him, I left him logged in and called an old school friend. Said school friend is now a cop. I explained the situation to him, and as soon as I named names, he told me to stay logged in and he'd be right over. 2 hours later, my computer was being examined by a police department technician who downloaded pretty much everything the guy had ever written to anyone. I didn't see much, but what I did see was effing sick. I then gave statements to a few officers and found out that when neighbor was in jail for parking tickets, he was actually in trouble for trying to assault a girl in a local bar and had only gotten out because his mom had posted bail. The prison he'd been in didn't even have a low security wing. He'd obviously lied to the real estate agents about what was actually going on because any criminal record beyond parking or speeding tickets made them reject you for rental. Neighbor was arrested again for something they'd wanted to pin on him but hadn't been able to until they got the emails. I got subpoenaed as a witness, and he got carted off to await trial. Edit. I ran into the lawyer who was prosecuting the case just now at the shops. Looks like the jerk's getting deported back to his home country to serve his term there. Ha! That's effing beautiful. Thankfully, his stupidity has removed him from the human gene pool for a while. Glad to hear you've wisely moved. Thanks for helping put a jerk where he belongs, OP. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.